listening to the Cricket Podcast.
I think it was a disgraceful performance, and I think it should never be permitted to happen again.
That is very good.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Cricket Podcast, where today we're going to be talking about all of the action from the first 2 days of the first test between England and India. England cannot bat. Bumrah, he can bowl. India, well, their batting's up for debate, and Anderson, he's also in the can bowl category. I'm Jack Hope. I'm joined by Ross Legg up there. How you doing, Ross Legg?
Marvellous, thanks, mate. Marvellous.
And the late Max Rowe Brown. We're starting a little bit late because of you, Max. You're going to apologise to the listeners?
Yeah, I'm very sorry.
he's also frozen. Brilliant. Well done, Max. Ross, it's been a good couple of days of cricket. Have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, other than the weather. Again, just frustrating. Just so frustrating. But we've seen the very best of England's batting, haven't we? Was it 4 ducks yesterday? If you're Joe Root and you choose to bat with that lineup and you're all out for 180, I mean, sooner rather than later, someone's going to start asking questions about your captaincy. So...
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. We'll get into all of that. Before we do, though, Ross, do we have any messages for our listeners?
Yes, we are supported and sponsored by Woodstock Cricket. So if you need a cricket bat, go onto their website and use the code TCP25 and order yourself a great bit of willow. It's improved Jack's and I's average by about 20 or 25 this season, which is pretty good going. And I've also hit 2 centuries with it compared to Virat Kohli's 0, so we'll just get that in nice and early. And you should follow us at the Cricket Pod on Twitter and Instagram. And if you're watching this video, press like. Go on, press like right now and subscribe to our channel.
Yeah, do that. And leave us a message in the chat too.
Nice message.
Max, you're on summary duty today. Can you quickly summarise the action that we have seen so far?
Absolutely. So it's been a long and difficult build-up, but England and India finally got their test series underway at Trent Bridge yesterday. And there were a couple of surprise picks, I think. Bairstow was in, a lengthened batting lineup for England. And R. Ashwin was notable by his absence. England won the toss, and that's probably their highlight from the first day's play. It started pretty badly. Burns was picked apart like carrion over the space of 4 balls by the excellent Bumrah. Crawley flattered to deceive as usual, and Sibley departed pretty meekly. But Root and Bairstow rebuilt a bit, but Bairstow's wicket just before tea precipitated a pretty disastrous collapse from 130 for 3 to 183 all out. England once again playing the role of movable object and taking a little too literally, I think, the moniker of getting all your ducks in a row. That's like taking nothing away from India's seamers, who were pretty devastating, in fairness to them. So it came to India's turn, and Rohit and Rahul displayed a masterclass of leaving, I think. England maybe bowled a little too wide on Wednesday evening, but were much better on day 2. But that didn't really make much difference. Both the openers batted through impressively, and it was only until India's turn, just before a meal break.
Have we lost me?
I
can't hear Max.
I can hear me.
That's what happens when you do these. You do these live. Ross, what's he saying?
You can't hear Max at all. This is high quality broadcasting.
Shall I just keep talking in case I'm still there?
Yeah.
Rohit and Rahul batted really well until it was India's turn to lose a wicket just before a meal break, pulling to come.
Max, it's all gone wrong.
It's just me by myself on the podcast now,
right.
Broadcasting to the audience.
Am I not with you? I think I'm with you.
You're with me. Well, no, we couldn't hear you, but now you're back, which is good. Ross, England's batting yesterday. Let's get straight onto that.
I'm literally just looking at the live stream feed, and we've got like 50 people watching or something, and then Max is just sitting there like a very astute old man.
Yeah, well, he's gone. We can just assume Max has disappeared for good.
I can hear everything that's going on. I'm very confused.
Oh, now he's back.
I never left.
Yeah. Well, England's batting. Let's talk
That's
about England's
incredibly
batting.
smooth. Let's talk about England's batting. Phoenix says he can hit all of us, so that's disturbing. Ross, talk to me. What did you like about England's batting?
Joe Root. Joe Root was the only kind of savior. And to be fair to Johnny Bairstow, we've given us some stick on this podcast. We absolutely love him in white ball cricket. There was a piece that was written. I think it was George. Oh, who's the guy on
George
ESPN? Quick Info? George Bell. And in the article he wrote, he said Johnny Bairstow, who recorded 3 ducks his previous 4 innings. And in the next paragraph, he talks about how dare people write Johnny Bairstow off with his Test credentials. And it's just like, you can't go both ways here, mate. Like, he's had 75 caps now for England. But he looked assured at the crease. But again, you're going to get between 20 and 30 runs with Bairstow every now and again, and that's what happened. We can't seem to find a batsman who, other than Joe Root, who can hit more than 30-odd runs. It's a little bit embarrassing.
It is a little bit embarrassing. I think, India didn't bat well. But what I'd throw back at you is the question: is 180 really that bad a score given the conditions? The ball was swinging a lot. They were facing Jasprit Bumrah in form. What would a good score have been in your mind, Ross?
I think we should have at least got ourselves to about that 240 mark. But I think if you bat first, and even in England, even with the ball hooping around, you need to be able to tough it out. I sound like Michael Vaughan now. But you need to be able to tough it out and got to get into that position where you grind out those runs. Like Dom Sibley, I can understand. Facing against new ball, Boomer was bowling well, Shami was bowling well. But I don't mind the attritional cricket, but you need to have some kind of release. You can't have a batsman who bats for 2 days or whatever he's going to try and bat for and hit like 15, 20 runs, because there's no pressure on the opposite. It puts the pressure on the rest of the batsmen, and it actually hasn't really set up much of a platform. Yes, you might have seen off the new ball, but that doesn't matter with this Duke's ball because it's still hooping around after 50 overs. So you need a way to punish the bad ball, and that's what I thought KL Rahul and Rohit Sharma did really well in the opening partnership. They left where they needed to leave the ball, and they punished the poor bowling when the bowlers got tired. So that's what I think we should do better.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair enough. I'm just intrigued by Max still being frozen. For the people who are going to listen to the audio version of this, it's going to be incredibly confusing because we're going to rip this audio, put that on Spotify or whatever, and half the show so far has been us talking about which one of us aren't moving. Max,
we can all be heard, so that's fine.
Well, you're still here, Max. So, a question for you. Where do England go from here? Do they just continue to being crap and hope for the best? Hope their bowling bails them out, or is there a realistic solution to some of this? So Ross was saying tough it out, but I mean, like yesterday, I'm not really sure toughing it out would have helped. The ball was still hooping after tea, 70 overs old. What is there an answer?
I think we saw it a little bit with India today in that Rahul and Rohit toughed it out, and they toughed it out really well. But they were, we were still looking at by lunch they were on 90 odd for one, and hadn't made a huge amount of progress. They did well on attacking the balls that were there to go for, and left outside off stump brilliantly. But that approach doesn't necessarily get you into the game in terms of the scoreboard, and that's where a very quick 2 or 3 wickets brings you some trouble. And I think we saw that with both sides. So it's tough, and especially it's tough when the ball is hooping around. I think you've just got to hope that your bowlers can dig you out of the hole in that sort of situation. And you need players of real class to be able to play in that situation. England don't seem to quite have those at the moment. It's just you just got to keep working at it.
Yeah, well, that is the Sibley conundrum, isn't it? I mean, in a sense, what's the point in facing 100 balls for 18 runs?
Conventionally, in a game of Test cricket, it kind of works because after, say, 30 overs, it becomes easier to bat. But the last 2 days, it hasn't, has it? It's been equally difficult to bat throughout those 80 overs. So you're kind of stuck.
Yeah, Ross, go.
I also think that there is a bit around like the technique the batsmen have, like watching and the temperament of some of these players as well. Like the way in which they get out. I mean, Jack, we were chatting on WhatsApp around Zach Crawley, like playing beautiful cover drive, and then just dangling his bat like a carrot outside off stump. And it was like just inevitable he'll get out sooner rather than later. But then someone like Dan Lawrence. Dan Lawrence is what in the last four innings, 3 ducks and an 81. Ollie Robinson comes in, plonks it straight to cover or wherever it was, and he's just a bit like what he's going. Josh Butler looked like he never played cricket before.
Josh Butler looked really bad.
Yeah, and you're sitting there going, yes, the bowling it, but surely these guys are good enough to be playing. Otherwise, they shouldn't be in this team. Like, and it's just a little bit frustrating, I think, as an England fan, to be time and time again be told, oh, well, the county championship's not producing the players. The county championship is doing a good job. That's not the problem here.
Is it?
I think so. I think it's absolutely fine. No,
Well, Trescothick said, didn't he? Trescothick, his batting coach, said, or admitted, I don't know if admitted is the right word, or made the excuse, whichever way you see it, I suppose, that the preparation wasn't ideal because a lot of the test stars were in, playing the 100. It was important for them to be there for the inaugural 100 competition, and there wasn't a whole lot of red ball cricket leading up to it. I think it was just the 3 players that were actually played any red ball cricket, and even then they didn't play that much. I mean, how much do you think that is part of it, not being ready for the red ball?
Well,
King legend Rahul has not fucking played cricket in first-class cricket since 2019. We do not have that excuse.
I think Rohit Sharma's last domestic red ball game was 2013. That's... Right. If you're slow at maths, 8 years ago. We want people who played 8 days ago. They're not going to get any better, are they? I mean, like...
You can't have it this way. This was frustrating me at the moment. On Twitter, these guys are sitting there going, it's the 100's fault that we are batting this way. It's not. It's really not. The IPL is the supreme short format game, supreme format franchise league, and India still have elite level players. Like we are just not producing the ones that we need to be producing because we throw them on the scrap heap. Like James Vince.
Ross. Well, who should be in the team then, Ross?
Well, you
can't say James Vince. That's not an answer.
Why not?
He's crapping he's crapping on the people in the team.
So my view is that you can't throw away people at, say, 23, 24 years old and then go, right, you go and work on your game and then hit some runs and come back or whatever. There's no come back anymore. There's just, we're going to try this next 21-year-old. Oh, Alex Stewart says Ollie Pope's amazing. Oh, we'll give him an extended run in the team and he hits us 1 century. Zach Crawley's played in this team for 2 years and has hit 1 century.
James Vince, in your example here, he averages 24.9. In Test
which is
cricket.
5 more runs than Zach Crawley does if you take away the 267.
He's 30 years old, so if you back down, when was he playing? 3 years ago? So he basically came into the team in his peak, couldn't do it. Why do you think he'd be better now?
David Milan, bring him back.
I mean, I'm not saying that Zach Crawley is the answer. I mean, like, there is fundamentally a problem in the way that England pick players because you can't pick a player to be your number 3 in Test cricket just because they have a good cover drive and then build a team around it. Dan Norcross,
if they average 32 in
Dan Norcross on the preview, he basically said that there's justification for England to stick with Crawley because he has a couple of good shots and maybe you can build a play around that. That's not really how it works, is it? You can't. If you can't do anything except cover drive, then you're shit.
In a game of football, you very rarely build a solid football team out of a sort of quite pretty number 10, and then have just like a bunch of 16-year-olds at the back. Doesn't tend to work.
Yeah, all right. Maybe James Vince. Maybe the boat has sailed, James Vince. But you see, like the point I'm trying to make. Like, there's no point giving someone a chance when they're a little bit younger, saying your game isn't good enough for this right now. Go and work on your cover drive. Go work on your back foot defence, whatever it is. And then not bring them back into the fold. There needs to be that feedback loop.
I'm pretty sure.
I think
there's been a lot of change of management, hasn't there, in that period? And I think some of the people, some of these players may have suffered from that, and a change of thinking, a change in approach by England coaches. They might well have been told go away and work at it and come back, and then the next thing you know, we've got one man's Trevor Bayliss is out, Chris Silverwood's in, and we're like, right now we're looking at youth. It's.
Yeah, but I don't. Yeah, I mean, I don't buy it, to be honest. Like, I don't. If there's no evidence for these guys being good enough to play Test cricket, why are they playing Test cricket? We don't do it for bowlers. We don't pick like 19-year-old bowlers all the time. No, you have to earn it. It took Ollie Robinson 3 years of being good for Sussex to get a go, and now he's getting his go.
Yeah.
You don't see, it's only for batting that we people lose their minds and do this, and also there's a massive problem with analysing technique from the point of view of fans or the media or even people in cricket, I think. Because if you take an edited highlights package of some of these players, they look fucking awesome. Like Zach Crawley looks awesome if you see his best 5 shots. If you saw his best 5 shots yesterday and somebody said he got a 50, you'd say that must have been a really classy 50. What actually happened was he played 5 amazing shots. And basically Zach Crawley yesterday, he left the ball, he played an amazing shot, or he missed it. Like, tried to hit the ball with his bat and missed the ball.
It's kind of like Max, did you say yesterday he's kind of like Brian Lara international cricket?
There was one shot he played. It was when he was sort of looking to play it through the leg side and it went past off stump. And I think it was off Bumrah, and it was just like, how did it not bowl him? I think it ended up going like over the top of off because it lifted a bit. And it was just like you were playing Brian Lara cricket and you just pressed the wrong button to where the ball had pitched. That's exactly what it looked like.
Yeah. Anyway, look, England are crap at batting. We haven't solved it. I'm sure there's going to be another go at solving it for us, isn't there? No one's expecting them to come out in the second innings and get 400. So let's
well, let's have a prediction: over or under 180 in the next innings.
So I don't think it'll be hard.
I'm going to go over.
I'm
going to go over.
Yeah, I think they'll probably get over. And then that might be enough to stop them losing by an innings. Max, you're really quiet, so you need to shout more.
Right.
Let's talk about some of the Indian bowling, because we've been very England-centric in that first spell of the show there. Ross, before the series, you and Dan Norcross wrote off Jasprit Bumrah. Would you like to eat some humble pie for our audience?
I think if you listen to the show...
I did listen to it.
Yeah,
I did listen to it.
And how did we say we wrote him off? I said it was a really important series for Bumrah.
The pair of you were like, oh, he's got injury problems, he's not the bowler he used to be, is he any good?
That wasn't me. No, I'm not. I'm going to stand up for it. This is slander. I'm going to sue you for slander for that, because that is not what happened. I said
multiple times when we were in the pub on Saturday, you were ranting on about how Jasprit Bumrah can only do it against the West Indies. Well, he did it against England yesterday, didn't he? Can you be nice to Jasprit Bumrah? That's all I'm saying. As a Mumbai Indians fan, I've got to stand up for him.
It's just our batting quality is actually as good as the West Indies, so that's where we're at. He had the ball on a string yesterday, didn't he? It was amazing to watch. I'm watching the highlights from that. There's a serious level of talent there, but you can see. I still don't think longevity-wise, Bumrah is going to play, say, 70 tests for India. Just don't see it happening. But I think enjoy it while it lasts. But I just don't think it's going to...
What's your reasoning for that, Dr. Ross?
I just think look at Jofra Archer, right? Look, Jofra Archer is now out for what, a year, maybe 2 years.
Well, it's going to be out for
it's going to be a significant amount of time. And like when you've got a bowling action like that, I mean, fast bowlers, like you've said, a load of them can't even walk anymore, let alone pick up their kids or something like that. And the body that goes through it's too much toil. And I think Bumrah's action, if someone goes to me, oh, this guy's going to be perfectly healthy in 15 years of bowling like this in test matches, I'm not going to agree with you. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think at some point in the next couple of years, he'll just be like, do you know what, it's not worth it. I'm just going to go and make loads of money playing in the IPL and just chill out.
Well, he only needs to play 50 more tests or 49 more tests. So I think he's got a pretty good chance of making it to 70. If I'm honest, Max... The other Indian bowlers were all right too. I gave Shardul Thakur some grief on Twitter via the main account. So we're blaming you
for that, are we?
Then he picked up 2 wickets. He's in the side instead of Ashwin. Was that a good decision?
By the way, Akash in the live chat is saying Max better justify Lord Thakur's selection. So no pressure, Max.
Right. Well, he got Joe Root out, didn't he? So I'd say that's justifying his place in the side. We'll see what he offers with the bat, but I think I think it wasn't Thacker over Ashwin. I think it was Jadeja over Ashwin, and I think they were going to go with one spinner anyway, and decided that they'd go for the higher batting average because, well, yeah, they obviously took the opinion that there was not much point in having spin with the forecast around as well. I mean, they say they don't look at the forecast, but let's be honest, you look at the forecast and you think you might not need two spinners on a week like this.
So
I was glad Siraj got to go as well.
you're glad Siraj well instead of Ishant Sharma. So does that mean? I mean, basically that India are going to rotate their bowlers around through this
I
series.
think so. Yeah, that's the sign.
I wonder whether India looked at the forecast with that and thought, why waste a test of Ishant Sharma in a game that's definitely going to be a draw? Why not use the backup for this one? And save the.
Yeah. And that's why Bumrah's playing. He's the backup to Sharma.
I thought they probably should have picked Ashwin. I'm not. I'd have had him in instead of Shardul Thakur. I know he picked up 2 wickets, but one of them, Joe Root. I mean, that was bad cricket. It's a leg stump half volley, and he's
just missed it.
He's just missed it. And the other one's a tail ender. They don't really count as wickets. The rest of the time, he was doing this thing when Bairstow and Root were batting, just bowling a yard outside off stump, bowling away swing a yard outside off stump. So what's the point in having that in your team? Like, if you're picking a guy to bowl a yard outside off stump, intentionally to just waste time in the game, why not pick Ashwin? I mean, like, he's more likely to get you a wicket. If you need him to bowl a yard outside off stump, I'm sure he can do that too. Great, my doorbell's gone off. Could any more stuff go wrong on this show?
Well, I want to talk about this Ashwin thing anyway. So when it comes to like Ashwin in that side, like Thakur there, he doesn't impose himself like Ashwin does. Like Ashwin will get a wicket just by turning up, is my opinion on Ashwin. And I think, Jack, we were talking about it at the pub last night when we were saying that the thing that could have swayed them was Ben Stokes actually not being in this team. So actually, Johnny Bairstow being in instead of Ben Stokes could have done that kind of thing. But, I mean, all you need to do is put Akshar Patel and Jadeja in this team and we'd get out anyway. Just put the old left-arm twirlers on and we'll soon go through the order.
I actually
Too many
seamers.
Pick 3. Akshar, Jadeja and Ashwin.
Right, so England, they were bowled out for, 183, 189, one of them. 183. Anything else from that innings or that day's play that we need to talk about? I mean, the Indian openers negotiated the last few overs of the day without any major scares.
Kohli did some good reviews, to be fair.
Kohli did some good reviews, yeah. The banter era of Kohli reviews is over. Maybe.
And Pants glasses keeping. I was a big fan of those.
Yeah, they were shit hot.
Snaz. Yeah.
Just a quick reminder before we flip round and talk about India's batting. Hit like on the stream now. Leave a comment, because all these things, what they do is they hack the algorithm, we think, for YouTube, and then loads more people will come and we'll be rich and famous, which is ultimately the point of the Cricket Podcast. And hit subscribe as well. Officially become a follower. We would really like that. Let's talk India. Max, I think this bit of your summary, I think this is where we lost you, and we just had silence.
Well, you lost me visually.
No, we lost your audio.
Not spiritually. Max is always with us spiritually.
There was no oral action. Do you want to briefly recap how India got on, or briefly talk about how you thought India got on? He's frozen again here. This is trouble.
Sure. Is it just something about the Indian batting that just makes me freeze completely? It was in the evening on Wednesday. I think England were guilty a little bit of bowling a little too wide to Rohit Sharma in particular. I think there's obviously a plan there to try and get him outside off, but I think rather than bowling that sort of fifth stump line, they strayed a little bit too much towards maybe seventh or eighth stump, which made it quite easy to leave. But they were a lot better today and much tighter to the stumps. But I thought Rahul and Rohit Sharma left brilliantly and didn't really play anything that they didn't need to, and that was particularly evident. And if you compare their batting to Pujara and Kohli, who both nicked off playing at similar deliveries to what a lot of the two openers were dished up. So very impressed by those two, and what a shame for Kohli, eh?
Well, what I like about it is that King Legend has finally found the format that he deserves to play in. The ball eater has finally. Oh my God! There's 5 days where I can hit runs. That must be that. Imagine the joy that he had today. There was no way that King Legend was going to walk out and not get a 50 today. That was in my head. I was just like, there's no way this guy is going to throw this away. Like, it was a great opportunity for him, and I couldn't be happier for him.
He took it. He was really good. England, obviously, Max, as you said, they came roaring back into the game. I thought, and maybe you'll disagree, that I thought they were probably a bit unlucky overall, maybe, to have not taken a wicket earlier. Crickfizz did a tweet, and Crickfizz are very selective with their tweets, so you should be very careful about what you read into it. But they said overs 1 to 20 in this test. The false shot percentage, which I guess is when they don't hit the ball where they're intending to hit the ball, 25% for England, 24% for India, which both reasonably high, and you would expect both to have brought probably more wickets than they did.
I think so. I think what I would say to counter that is I think you could say that yes, England's bowlers were perhaps a bit unlucky because I mean it's again one of those things that you'd love an actual stat on that you could regularly look at, but obviously it only pops up when Crickfizz decide they want to tell people. But it felt from watching it that there were lots and lots of plays and misses. There were there were ball, lots of close-ish LBWs, a couple of bad reviews, but ones that struck on the pad and you thought looked fairly close. But what I would say actually is that I think the way the two openers played is that actually they didn't chase. The hands were under the eyes a lot of the time. A lot of those plays and misses, they were playing in a very narrow line down the stumps, and that is why they didn't nick it. If there were a little bit more of a push out, that's when you get the edge, and that's I think what happened with Pujari was a little bit more of a push towards the ball rather than KL and Rohit Sharma, who were a lot more within that box, isn't it? They talk about under the eyes and sort of within the stump line, and I think that's possibly where they wouldn't say got away with it because it's good technique, isn't it?
But at the same time, England lost 1 wicket in the 0 to 20 overs, as well. And that's the bit. That's the bit where you're talking, Jack, about the Crickfizz stats are a little bit misleading in that regard, and
yeah, but they could have lost 4.
Well, mate, we could have lost 10. Not the amount of way we play, but I'm not convinced by the full shot percentage in this. And it's the same people who turn around and say Mohammed Shami's the most unlucky bloke in the world. Give me a break.
England, so they did roll back. Anderson, in his 4 overs after lunch, I think took 2 for 10 or maybe even less than that. Picked up the big one, the big dogs, Pujara and Kohli. Ross, it's time to go in hard, I think, on Kohli's century drought. And perhaps we need to talk about Pujara as well. But let's mock Kohli mercilessly first. He was rubbish, wasn't he? He did the worst thing he could possibly have done.
Yeah. Well, it's back-to-back zeros for Virat Kohli in England, isn't it? So, I mean,
Kohli.
Kohli. No, in all seriousness, that was a completely mental ball to get first up. It was a ball that swung in, seamed away. Not exactly. I don't think you don't want that at any point in your innings. Like the ball's moved 2 different directions in the. Yeah,
but that's because he didn't go in with a plan. So a journalist asked him, "How are you going to deal with Jimmy Anderson?" He said, "I'll just bat." Wasn't a good enough plan. Was it? Let's be fair.
I guess not. Have you been, just on a slight tangent, have you been watching the interview with him and Dinesh Karthik at lunch over the last few days, either of you?
No, I didn't get to catch it today. Was it worth seeing?
Yeah, it's good. He's
worth
very
seeing
honest.
just for DK's attire.
Does DK throw any remarks about Murali Vijay having sex with his wife or anything like that? Just snide comments? Because that was last time out. He mentioned that, didn't he, when they were playing? So.
I don't think he mentioned that. I don't think
he accidentally read out a dodgy tweet, didn't he?
No. He talked about cricket bats, didn't he? He said a cricket bat, it doesn't quite feel right. It doesn't matter. Let's not go down.
Sure. And then Pujara, we speculated before this series, or I speculated. I don't know if I wasn't on the preview, but we kind of thought that the big battle for supremacy, what will decide things, is how the Indian top order got on. Obviously, Rohit and KL have done the business in terms of building a platform from the India side, and Kohli, when Kohli came to the crease, India were actually still in quite a good position. Pujara's the third man of that top order. I don't think he looked very convincing today. He was there for a little while. He was there for 15, 20 balls. Out dangling his bat. Should they drop Pujara, Max?
Whoa. We just need to. We need to say thank you to Phoenix for giving me some more ammunition around Virat Kohli, who averages 24 in Test matches since 2020. That's fine. Let's not go down this route. Max is a massive CSK fan, and they've turned Pujara into a T20 machine. It wasn't a pity pick. You can't believe what people were saying about Pujara.
That's the problem. It's some people just can't do it across formats, and Pujara's now lost that. He's lost that grit.
His focus,
spent too much time trying to blast
focus.
it in the nets. Yeah.
Yeah, the money has swayed him.
I don't think you can drop Pujara just on that. I think give him maybe if he has 3 barren tests, you can try someone else. But
they can't. They're all injured.
No, I am joking, but there is a serious point here in the Pujara away from home, particularly in England. I think is not the Pujara that tamed Australia or the Pujara that you get in India.
That's the case for many batsmen.
He's
isn't it?
basically Dom Sibley, and I don't know. Well, we're questioning Dom Sibley, and I think it's fair for Indian fans to question Pujara if you're being honest about this. If we're being fair about things.
Manjuice has said Dom Sibley is the worst cricketer I've ever seen. So,
look, do you know what? I wanted to get into this debate. I was saying this earlier. I actually don't like Pujara. I think he's boring, and I think he wastes time. I would much prefer Rishabh Pant at 3. And Carnage. I'm not saying it's a like for like swap or that's realistic, but I'm sick of the Pujara cult. People who say they love watching him, but nobody loves that. It's like watching paint dry. Nobody loves watching Dom Sibley bat. He's useful. He might have a use, but nobody likes it. Same with Pujara, and particularly the same with Pujara in England, where he literally just tries to defend for as long as he can hold on for. And I think in series like this, on the pitches that it looks like we're going to get, with a ball which, it's swinging around like a tennis ball that's been taped up on one side, I'm not sure that there's a huge amount of value in players that are just going to wait until they get out, basically. So that's what I think about Pujara. We'll see how I'm wrong about that in the second innings, I'm sure.
Ricken's asked, do India start making changes in the top 5 if they tie or lose this series? Yes, that would have to be. That's definitely the thing. But batsmen do come to the end of the road, right? And India have got some cracking stroke makers in their side, and maybe that's where Test matches are going.
Yeah,
anyway.
Possibly. Right. Shall we move on to questions, or have you got anything else about today's play, fellas?
I would like to talk about England's slip catching because Sibley.
Dom Sibley's slip catching.
Dom Sibley, the worst cricketer of all time.
He's caught 11 in the slips for England.
That's not too bad. Yeah,
he's dropped 7. That's not a good record, is it? That one?
No.
At what point in Test cricket do you get to the point where, sorry mate, you've dropped too many catches in here? Off you go to the boundary.
Right. The only thing I would say, is that we don't know how difficult those catches were. Like they're not. We don't know. Maybe he's getting to catches that other people wouldn't. He is quite big. They call him the fridge, so you would think that he'd cover quite a wide surface area.
I think the one today was definitely gettable.
I think it was gettable, but I think it's dropped by 50% of the time still. It's low to the wrong hand, not within the eye line. It looks like it should be an easy catch because he gets 2 hands.
I think it's been a bit tough. Particularly in this test, with there has been a sign of the pitch being a little too paced. Some kept low, like the Pujara ones. So you can forgive them for that, perhaps.
Ross. I think just as a general point, there is a problem in cricket in terms of like talking about fielding because the metrics, we don't have any metrics. We don't track drops, for example. That's not
We
something.
need like expected catch as well from deliveries, like expected goals.
Well, before you even have that, it would be useful to know like who's dropping catches and who isn't. And nobody is tracking that in.
Maybe that's what we do. We
We could be field
maybe that's
vids.
what we do.
Yeah, we could come up with expected catch. That's a good stat. Just make it up because that's what crick vids do.
Johnny Bairstow's run out was good today. Rahul, we have to talk about Rahul.
Oh, yeah,
what was going on there? You've just seen Pujara and Kohli get out. You've got a good platform where you can just sit back and be like, do you know what? Let's just calm this down.
I'm just going to try and run as fast as I can in the wrong direction.
It was just like you're not playing. Yeah, where was it? What was he doing? It was genuinely like he'd got Alzheimer's and forgotten which house he was supposed to go home to.
He was running late, and he forgot his wallet.
Yeah, he wandered outside into traffic, and then someone had to guide him back to come back. And then, Johnny Bairstow, great bit of fielding, but 3 stumps away, Matt. But still, expected runouts. Johnny Bairstow's pretty good.
Yeah, that was it was good. And I think there's legs in this field viz idea. I think we should work on the name. But,
yeah, we definitely.
But it would be. I mean, like we don't know anything about fielding, and it's also measured entirely different from everything else. So when, for example, batting average, you don't start that from the expected number of runs a batter would get on that pitch, which in England is about 25. People aren't like, well, Joe Root is plus 44 for his innings yesterday, and Dom Sibley's -7. Nobody does that, but for fielding, that's how you measure it. You measure it from, would a fielder have started? This is the only people measuring it. That's how they measure it. And so the match impact comes out at like, Ross, you saved 6 runs in that game. But it's not, so it makes it sound like fielding's completely irrelevant. But actually, if you were measuring everything from the expected outcome of an action, then 6 runs might be quite good.
What do they do in baseball? Because you're a big baseball fan. Do they have anything around baseball in that area?
They track way more stuff. They track way more stuff.
He's got a fucking huge glove, so it's a bit different. But...
They track way more stuff, and so they are able to, over a season, for example, they know that the average shortstop will have X number of opportunities to field the ball. So if you've got a shortstop who's fielding way more than that, then you know that they're having a positive impact, that they're getting to more balls, that they're pulling off better plays, that they're basically a better fielder. The problem with that in cricket is that, like, apart from run-outs and catches, we don't track anything else. We don't track when people make a mistake. We don't track where they were fielding, when the thing happened. There's a whole bunch of problems that we have with fielding stats, and so to go back to the Dom Sibley, has had 18 opportunities, taken 11, dropped 7. Well, that does sound bad, but again, if all 18 catches are the catch that we saw today, that's probably not bad going. Take 11 out of 18 ankle high catches to your wrong side. When you're standing really close, because James Anderson's an old man and he bowls about 44 mile an hour now. That's not. You'd probably say that's a decent return. Whereas if you dropped 7 out of 18 at the Gabba, where the ball flies through and you can basically field in the slips on the boundary, you're doing obviously a bad job. And I think there's basically a poor understanding of all of those things in cricket, and actually the people that are measuring it don't really understand what they're doing either. So there's that. There's a little fielding rant halfway through this.
If you've got a good name for a fielding stat thing, let us know.
Yeah, Field Viz is the working title. We'll trademark that, or whatever you do. Register the business under Field Viz.
Opt to catch, or whatever the old football is.
Yeah.
Anyway, so can we also mention Sam Curran's hair, because I was trying to think of what he reminds you of, and it's like a peroxide Sprite. The kind of fairy.
I mean, we could mention Sam Curran. Let's not get into it now, because we've got podcasts tomorrow for people listening. We should have explained this earlier. We've got a podcast tomorrow. We've got a podcast on Saturday. We've got Ashwin from Edges and Sledges tomorrow, and Dan Weston on Saturday. So there'll be plenty of time to talk England selection. But Sam Curran, in general, in this team, as the 4th bowler of 4 bowlers, does feel weird as shit. I will say that now. And if England don't bowl India out for not very many tomorrow, it could be a pretty tiring Test match if the weather keeps things in play. We're running up to near 40 minutes. We wanted to keep this at half an hour. Classic us. Ross, the weather was pretty bad today. Do you want to quickly summarise how ridiculous that was?
I just don't really understand why we need to just hang around for like 20 minutes before they go back on. Like at club cricket level, I realised that the infrastructure, like the hover clouds that they have, hover covers that they have, etc., that might take a little bit of time. They've got to put the rope round, etc. Just get out and play. Like what? I don't understand what they're waiting for. Like they're still wearing their pads. The bowlers are still in their kit. It's not like they've got all completely undressed and meant to be like, oh, we need to start completely from a scratch again. There was a point today where there was 45 minutes of like okay weather where they could have been playing, yet light drizzle and a bit of dimness, even when they've got floodlights on. They're just like, we can't play. It's way too dangerous.
That was absolutely ridiculous. I can't be bothered. There'll definitely be another opportunity to talk about weather this summer, possibly tomorrow. So let's do it then. We had a few questions in on Twitter, so let's run through those really quick. So Mask says, if conditions remain this bowler friendly, will someone like Pant prove crucial with his attacking gameplay? And this segues quite nicely into the battle we're going to see tomorrow, boys. Pant v England. How crucial is Pant, Max?
Well, he can be a game changer, can't he? If he manages to score a quick 40 in a game like this, then it can make all the difference, I think. So yeah, vital, I'd say.
Yeah, Satwick says, Ross, what's wrong with India's established trio of 3, 4 and 5? So what's that? Pujara, Kohli and Rahane? What's wrong with it?
I'm not sure. Everyone's allowed a bad day at the office, right? And actually, like as you said, Kohli got a good ball. Pujara struggles in England. He's got an average of less than 30. He'd be great in the England team.
Rahane committed Harry Carey.
Yeah. So just a bad day at the office.
Yeah. Max, one for you from Dwarak, and I think we touched on this earlier. Should India have gone for Ashwin over Jadeja, since Ashwin proved himself many times over as a batter too?
I really like Jadeja in the side, so I'm going to have to fall on the side of Jadeja. I think if you don't, I mean, the Seamers did the job, didn't they, yesterday? So I think it's fine on that one. We'll see what you can offer with the bat.
Cool. Ross, anything from the chat before we wrap up?
Lionel Messi's not going to play for Barcelona next season.
What? Oh, right. There we are.
There we go.
Is that from the chat?
Yeah, that's from the chat. So apparently it's all over for Lionel Messi.
Fantastic.
Okay. Well, that's a shame.
Off to Spurs he comes.
Great stuff, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in. We will be back tomorrow with Ashwin from Edges and Sledges. Ross and me, I think, are on that show. That will be really good. Max is going somewhere, and we might
double wedding.
Double wedding.
Well, are you going to? There's 2 weddings at the same venue at the same time that you're going to see.
Sadly not. One on Saturday, one on Sunday.
Cool. And then I think it's just me and Dan Weston on Saturday, unless you're about, Ross. But that'll be fun. The weather's going to ruin this test, isn't it, boys? But just a final question: who do you think's on top, Ross?
India.
Max?
Yeah. India.
I think it will be a draw, but India have probably played the best so far. Last thing, subscribe, like, comment,
follow. At the Cricket Pod.
Goodbye. Well, that was an adventure, wasn't it?